just curious, as a constitutional lawyer, I mean, I see these people being dragged in the street. I see masked people coming up, demanding papers. I see a guy sitting in a gas station parking lot, and ICE officers breaking the window and then dragging him out and putting their knee on his back. We went to law school. We practiced law. This looks like Russia. It really does. This looks like something that you would expect in Russia. That protesters. This is happening to protesters, not suspected murderers or rapists.
They invading.
Is what America looks like in.
Okay, let me break this down. Cause this dumbass right here in the corner right here, where the woman's at, don't understand a fucking thing. Okay, you protesting, you breaking the fucking laws. Okay? You breaking the fucking laws. Let me say this again. You breaking the fucking law. You protesting, get in the way of the cop, ICE, and FBI for doing their job, you breaking the fucking law. Okay? This is not the law where you stay at. This is a government law. Okay? FBI, ICE has the right to do what they want to do. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But no, all these left-wing bitch asses want to complain about shit. And it just shows you the stupidity the Democrat media will go to. Will go to for that shit. I tell you, it shows the stupidity of the Democrat Party is. Really is. But let's get back to the video. Next one is all about the Somali thing going on. So yeah, we're going to get into a lot of these videos today, and tomorrow, and Sunday. So stay tuned with me. Enjoy the videos. Alright, let's get this done.
1925, for protesters, we always looked at what happened to the Soviet Union and looked at what happened in Putin's Russia and saw this happening to protesters there being taken off the streets, thinking, my God, how could that ever happen in society? And I'd always ask, how could those Russian police officers do that? Well, we've got people lined up for this job to put masks on, to go in, to break people's windows, drag them out of their cars, beat up American citizens, shove them to the ground, and then cuff them.
Alright guys, so if you're watching this video again, right, I apologize. I had to re-upload this video because when I first made the video, I mistakenly called Renee Good's former father-in-law her father. And I did that because while I was making the video, I had to hop on a bunch of business calls back to back to back. And yeah, I totally messed that up, right? I made a mistake, and I apologize. This is actually Renee Good's former father-in-law, okay, who did an interview on CNN, and he told the CNN anchor stuff that she definitely didn't want to hear, okay, when it comes to what happened to Renee Good. And also Renee Good's actual father has chimed in as well too, and President Trump was asked about Renee Good's father and his comments. Take a look.
I want to ask you about this. You know, when you talk about the confusion, and you've been open, obviously, about your support for the president, when you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you, Timmy, to watch if you've even been able to, but the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And no, nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions.
Okay, y'all seen the video. What's going on? This CNN lady trying to get the gotcha moment. Trying to twist the words around, trying to twist it around. But everyone's seen the video on multiple angles. But these CNN people are trying to cause chaos, corruption, confusion. Sorry, I got Annihilator. I got blue raspberry Annihilator I'm chewing on to keep me up, so I can keep doing these videos for y'all. Oh man, shit, it's hard up. Fuck. Well, got more. Huh. Anyway, CNN's job is to cause trouble, lie, confuse, disorientate, try to get you gotcha moments all the time. And now the lady of the Renee Good, former father-in-law, they try and get him to twist his words into blame Trump, blame ICE, but he not gonna fall for it. So watch how she gets not liking this. We're going on, so I get it.
But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any enemies. I love everybody, and that's what the Bible tells us: love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But I think there's some bad choices, and the word says, "For the wrath of God will come upon the children of disobedience." And it's I don't blame ICE, I don't blame Rebecca, I don't blame Renee. I just wish that if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there. That's the way I look at it.
President Trump asked to share his message to the father of the woman who was killed by ICE. Listen.
I want to say to the father that I love all of our people. They can be on the other side. As you say, he might be on my side. He is on your side. And I think that's great. And I do. I think it's great. And I would bet you that she, under normal circumstances, was a very solid, wonderful person. But then her actions were pretty tough. When you look at the way that car was pulled away, there are a couple of versions of that tape that are very, very bad.
Yeah, so you're saying that you heard that. Now, to be clear, the former father-in-law of Renee Good basically says he doesn't blame Trump. He does not blame the administration. He doesn't blame Renee Good. He doesn't blame her wife, I guess. And, I think that at the very least he's acknowledging that the officer, right, his perspective in regards to how he felt in that moment really is something that people are not acknowledging, right, which is that he felt like his life was in danger and he reacted in a way that he felt was appropriate, right? He actually acknowledged that the officer was hit, which is something that leftists refuse to acknowledge, okay? Now, when it comes to Renee Good's father, her actual father, apparently he's a Trump supporter, but he doesn't like the fact that the administration called her a domestic terrorist, which, I understand, right? I get that. But at the same time, it's like, well, your daughter was engaged in obstructing federal law enforcement, right? That's what she was doing. You might not define it as domestic terrorism. Maybe some people don't define it as domestic terrorism. So when it comes to the stepfather, again, God bless him for what he said, for acknowledging reality. I think what he said was appropriate, right, in the moment, especially the part where he basically kind of said in a roundabout way that she shouldn't have been there, right? Which, I wish that's what most people were saying in this situation. Like, the reaction really should be, she should not have been there. Not to demonize the ICE agent and to, do what they're doing right now, but it really should be, she should not have been there, right? If we actually had a country that was, grounded in common sense, okay, then that's what most people would be saying. That's how most people would be reacting. Story. ICE agent who fatally shot Renee Good suffered internal bleeding after encounter, officials claim. So the ICE agent who left his claim was not hit, right? The ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good in her car last week in Minneapolis experienced internal bleeding as a result of the encounter, officials said. Now, again, they claim that he wasn't hit. Video comes out showing that he was hit. Well, he wasn't hit that hard, right? As if that even matters, really. It doesn't matter when it comes to whether or not this is, justified use of force. But now you have this report saying that he's suffering internal bleeding, right? Jonathan Ross suffered internal bleeding in the torso and was treated by a doctor following the shooting, CBS News reported, citing 2 U.S. officials briefed on his medical condition. Yeah, so again, this is more proof and evidence that the officer was, in fact, struck, right? And as I put out on X, in response to this news, liberals and reality deniers will watch a video of the ICE agent being struck and still deny what happened. Now they will claim this diagnosis is fake. Right on cue, you got Crystal Ball, right? One of the biggest gaslighters of all time. Fake is fake news of all time. These people are so effing predictable. I couldn't imagine living in a constant state of delusion and reality denialism. But that's what these people are, right? They are constantly living in a state of delusion and reality denialism. Case in point, this clown responded to me and said, I couldn't imagine having internal bleeding from something that never hit me, right? Except the video is right here, right? There's a whole video showing the officer being hit, but for whatever reason, liberals don't see that, right? They don't see the officer actually being hit. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, it's just one of those things, man, where and I'm saying this because I know this very personally. You're going to find out very soon, hopefully, what I'm talking about here. These people, there's no point in debating with these people, right? There's no point in having conversations with these people. They are simply just not living in the same world that we're living in. They are never, ever, ever going to acknowledge a reality that does not fit the narrative that they want. They will never, ever, ever do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They would much rather lie to themselves, right? If it fits their narrative, if it benefits them, they would much rather lie to themselves than to tell the truth. And the part about this that I think really blows my mind is the audience, right? Seriously, I think liberals like being lied to, right? I would not want to listen to a person who will lie to me in order to confirm what I want to believe, right? Especially if, again, the actual footage, the facts, all the evidence goes the other way, right? I would want to listen to somebody who's going to tell me the truth regardless of what I want to believe. Especially, again, in a situation like this, where the reality is clear. But no, these people are so soulless, they're so captured by the far left mob that they will lie to themselves, they will lie to their audiences, they will lie to the world about what everybody can see. And then they'll turn around and say, no, everybody else is lying about it, right? It is frustrating. It really is. It's frustrating to deal with because there's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just getting to the point where when in politics, people become so tribal that we're literally debating reality of what everybody can see on a video. It's pretty bad, right? I'm not sure if we can recover from that, right? How do you recover from this, right? From a situation where, depending on your political ideology, that determines whether or not you can acknowledge reality. And we're not just talking about this subject, we're talking about the subject of biological boys versus biological girls in sports. When it comes to the reality of mass immigration, when it comes to the reality of any of the core issues, crime, all these things. It seems like there's just one side of the aisle that they just don't want to acknowledge anything that's actually real, right? Yeah. It's really sad, right? It's depressing, to be honest with you. So, with that being said, the mainstream level media is continuing to push this narrative that somehow, some way, we're supposed to feel bad for people who are finding out the consequences of participating in domestic terrorism.
And tonight, this is what we're seeing on the streets of Minneapolis. The administration still surging federal agents there as we're seeing new videos come out tonight, including this one that we're still trying to learn more about as we come in the air this evening, that shows a woman being forcefully pulled from her car a couple of blocks from where Renee Good was shot and killed.
She tried running
The
on ice
passenger
agent,
side
that's why.
window smashed, agents surrounded her, flung open the doors, and used a knife to actually remove her seatbelt off of her. This is what we could hear in the videos. When you listen, she was talking about being disabled and trying to get to a doctor's office. Again, we are trying to learn more about that video. We've also seen
Trying to get to a doctor's office. Does CNN really believe that? Right? CNN really believe that ICE
Yeah.
is just arresting people who are trying to go to the doctor's office. Right? They're not obstructing. They're not blocking traffic. They're not trying to stop ICE from enforcing the law. No, they're just trying to go to the doctor's office. This is what we're up against. We're up against gaslighters and reality deniers, right? That's what they are. They're gaslighters and reality deniers. They will make any excuse in the world for domestic terrorism. They'll make an excuse for it. They'll get mad at you because you're calling it what it is, right? Like, I don't understand. Like, what else would you call people who are literally obstructing law enforcement from enforcing the law for political purposes? Like, what else would you call that outside of domestic terrorism? Like, I mean, let's be real. Because if these were Trump supporters, first and foremost, do you think that they would be narrating what's happening from the perspective that they're doing right now?
Nope.
Wanting people to feel bad? Do you think that they would mince words about what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would be saying, no, these people are violent. They're terrorists. Nazis, right? And there would be no problems with that. There would be no problems. They would have no problem. If these were Trump supporters, they would have no problems calling it what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because they're liberals, they want you to feel bad for these people. If they were Trump supporters, they'd be cheering it on.
ICE agents capture a man in this home as protesters were honking car horns, banging on drums, blowing whistles, as you can see. And also this, when a man stood in front of a vehicle that was being driven by ICE agents, an officer pushed him to the ground, causing him to tumble into the street. A bus that was about to pass by the scene came to a quick stop after he fell. It seems like the...
You know, here's the thing, right, about that, right? Some clown is going to look at that video and say, oh, why did the officer have to push him? What else was the officer supposed to do? If the officer would have shot him, they'd be crying. So the officer removes the guy from blocking his vehicle by pushing him, and they're going to try to make it seem like this guy is some victim, right? What else are they supposed to do in that situation? Kindly ask him to move? And if he doesn't move, which he's not, what else are they supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to just let him block the road. ICE is supposed to just go home, quit. That's what they want. They want ICE to quit. That's what they actually want. They want the protesters to be able to freely obstruct them, to not face any consequences, and for ICE to quit and go home. That's what they want. That's what they want. And we can't give them that. Right? They're not going to get that.
It seems like these that we are continuing to see in Minneapolis that have some of even the most influential supporters of President Trump's saying things like this.
We have this terrible tragedy.
Two-Faced Joe
in
Rogan.
Minnesota, where that woman was shot, which was horrible. I mean, I don't know why I feel way worse when a woman gets shot, but I always do.
Yeah.
Especially in that situation, which I understand that the officer that shot her, apparently he had been dragged by a car, like really recently.
Right.
Which I would imagine also tension's very high, but it just seemed all kinds of wrong to me. It's also very ugly to watch someone shoot a U.S. citizen.
This is what I can't stand about people. You're a Trump supporter, you take with the good and the bad. You don't run to another party or run to a TV and try, oh, I don't support Trump. Oh, it's very bad. Joe Rogan is always like this. He like this with Trump. You know, remember that. He like this with Bush. Support Bush. And when Bush is, oh, I don't support that. Oh, I don't support him invading Iran or Iraq. It ain't right there. It ain't no weapons. Joe Rogan is a fucking two-faced bastard, in my opinion. Trump do something right, you all support it. Trump do something that needs to be done, you not support for it. How about you let all the Somali immigrants live with you, Joe Rogan? Okay? Let all the left-wing liberals live with you. See how your actions will turn out to be. Back to the video.
Citizen, especially a woman, in the face.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm not that guy. I don't know what he thought. And again, this is a guy who had almost been run over. But it just looked horrific to me. I mean, when people say it's justifiable because the car hit him, it seemed like she was kind of turning the car away. Now,
Again, all legally irrelevant, right? And see, that's the problem with this. The problem is that too many people are looking at this from an emotional perspective. They're not looking at it from a legal perspective. If you take your emotions out of it, legally it's clear. The guy is not going to be charged, and even if he is charged, he's not going to be found guilty. The problem, again, is that that's not the way people are looking at it. They're putting their emotions in it and trying to look at it from a moral perspective. But the law doesn't care about the morality of what happened, okay? Which is subjective, by the way, because I think that you can make a moral argument that that officer legitimately felt like his life was in danger and that she was using a deadly weapon against him, right? The vehicle. So the morality of it is subjective. The actual legality of what happened, I think, is more clear cut, right? So if you got a problem with what happened, then what you should be more outraged about is the fact that she put herself in that situation in the first place.
Damn right.
If more people spent time talking about how you shouldn't put yourself in those situations, then this stuff wouldn't happen. Period. It wouldn't happen. But because people are focusing more on what the officer did rather than what she did, Renee Good did, you're going to see more and more and more of this stuff. It's almost as if a lot of these people don't actually really care that much about these liberals losing their lives. It's almost like they don't care that much. Because if you actually cared, you say, listen, legally, you're not putting yourself in a great position when you do stuff like this. So it's just better for you to not put yourself in that situation. To handle your disagreements with ICE in the way that you're supposed to handle it. Rather than obstructing law enforcement. That is going to save lives. Taking the emotional route is not what's going to save lives. That's actually what's going to cost people their lives. And that's what a lot of these people don't understand.
ICE are villains. And now people are looking at them like murderous military people that are on the streets of our city, and they're masked up, which is also a problem.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality is that people like Joe Rogan exist.
Joe Rogan, you do understand they gotta keep the masks on because they don't. People see their face, they try to kill them, right? You do understand the whole concept of keeping your identity a secret when you doing stuff like this, don't you? Or are you just stupid?
In the sense that they're wishy-washy about stuff, right? They'll say, oh yeah, we should definitely fix our immigration problem. We should have mass deportations, and then once you actually see what it takes to do it, oh, well, I didn't mean like that, right? And it's like, well, no. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to actually enforce the law. This is what it looks like to actually do the mass deportation. And we've seen this before. We've seen this during the Obama years. The only difference is that for whatever reason back then, when ICE was arresting illegals, CNN, the liberal media, they weren't outraged by it, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't outraged by it. Liberals weren't out in the street protesting and obstructing for whatever reason when ICE was in the street arresting illegals. For minor things, by the way. Let's watch this.
Just before the sun rises in the Windy City, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents fan out across Chicago to arrest criminals in the U.S. illegally.
Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3.
CNN was granted exclusive access to witness some of those raids.
We got 3 targets this morning. You know, some of the neighborhoods a little sketchy, so we got to make sure it's not just the target we're looking at, but other people around us.
They want to come out extra early, like right now, because they want to catch these people before they go to work. That's why it starts so early in the morning.
All right, let's roll, guys. A lot of things go through your head. Your adrenaline, blood pressure, of course, goes up when you're getting ready to do something like this. All right, that vehicle behind us is off limits.
How many people are involved with this operation, particularly right now?
I have a 5-man arrest team here situated in this neighborhood, here on the street. You see the stoop going up. I have a couple guys sitting right inside that stoop. This is part of what we do. Keep eyes on somebody and try to be as covert as we can. There we go. Is that him in white?
This may look organized, but in this moment, confusion.
There's always challenges we face when it's dark, somebody looks very similar to an individual.
ICE agents mistakenly arrest the target's brother.
In the process of talking to him in the vehicle, he then said, "Oh no, I'm actually so-and-so. Who you're looking for is over here, this other address." He led us to that address, and we were able to actually arrest the individual we were looking for.
Oh, so wait. So you mean to tell me they detained the wrong person? Oh, so wait. So when Obama was in office and ICE was doing this, they arrested the wrong person. That happens when you're trying to enforce the law, that sometimes ICE is going to make a mistake. Huh. And they let the person go? And then they went after the person they was actually looking for? Huh. Wow. But apparently when ICE, in the Trump years, when they arrest the wrong person, oh, this is a tragedy, oh God. Right? Huh. Fascinating. They're arresting people as they're going to work, right? As they're just trying to work and make a living in this country. That's what they were doing during Obama years. And arresting the wrong people, too.
See, when Obama was in office, they didn't say that shit. Joe Rogan didn't say any of that shit, but since Trump's doing all of this, now CNN, NBC News, News 19, News 10, all these liberal Democratic news stations got something to say about when Obama was deporting people for small little things, even when ICE was used to do it, never was said. But Trump's doing it as a big deal. Why is that? Because it's racial profiling. When Obama did it, it was okay. Because y'all wanted a black guy to do all this shit right there. But now you got somebody actually doing what he's supposed to do. Oh, it's rude. It's racist. It's terrorism. It's Nazi-ness. You see the pattern here? I don't think I do. God, y'all voted for a lot of dumbass people. Y'all voted for Obama. Y'all voted for Joe Biden. Y'all voted for a lot of damn people that don't know what the fuck they're going on. But now you figure out what's going on. Now y'all fucking think it's wrong. Alright.